Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our website and be accurate and honest in your responses. Census data is used by policymakers, community groups, businesses, and individuals to make decisions that better serve you. And not to worry, your information is safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you. Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our website and be accurate and honest in your responses. Census data is used by policymakers, community groups, businesses, and individuals to make decisions that better serve you. And not to worry, your information is safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you. Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our website and be accurate and honest in your responses. Census data is used by policymakers, community groups, businesses, and individuals to make decisions that better serve you. And not to worry, your information is safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you. Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our website and be accurate and honest in your responses. Census data is used by policymakers, community groups, businesses, and individuals to make decisions that better serve you. And not to worry, your information is safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you. Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our website and be accurate and honest in your responses. Census data is used by policymakers, community groups, businesses, and individuals to make decisions that better serve you. And not to worry, your information is safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you. Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our website and be accurate and honest in your responses. Census data is used by policymakers, community groups, businesses, and individuals to make decisions that better serve you. And not to worry, your information is safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you. Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our...
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, our key stakeholders. Welcome to our first quarterly press briefing for the start of the year. Let me take this opportunity to wish you a happy and productive 2023 on behalf of the management and staff of STATIN. Today, our Director General, Ms. Carol Coy, will take you through the presentation. Ms. Coy is supported by Mrs. Paula Jackson and Mrs. Shelley-Ann Chambers for the Q&A session. Without further delay, I now hand over to Ms. Coy. Thanks.
Thank you, Georgia. Good morning, everyone, and as Mrs. Garvey Green says, welcome to our first press briefing for 2023. In accordance with STATIN's advanced release calendar, we will be releasing the key indicators from the December 2022 Consumer Price Index. We'll also highlight some of the main economic indicators from the recently released third quarter 2022 Gross Domestic Product and provide an update on the population and housing census. As previously announced, the October 2022 labor force was not undertaken due to the census data collection. With the extension of data collection, the January 2023 labor force survey will also not be done. Turning to the gross domestic product, for the third quarter of 2022, that is July to September, the Jamaican economy grew by 5.9% when compared to the corresponding quarter of 2021. This was a result of growth in both the services and goods producing industries of 6.0% and 5.6% respectively. The performance reflected the continued recovery of the economy from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. When compared to the second quarter of 2022, the economy grew by 2.1%, a continuation of the trend evident since the third quarter of 2020. Looking at the performance of the services industries, growth was recorded in all services industries during the period when compared to the third quarter of 2021. Hotels and restaurants grew by 35.3% as a result of increased activities in the group's hotels and other short-stay accommodation and restaurants, bars, and canteens. The performance of hotels and other short-stay accommodation was positively impacted by a 49.2% increase in foreign national arrivals. There were increased arrivals from the major markets, the United States of America, Canada, and Europe. The other services industries increased by 13.1% due to growth in the recreational, cultural, and sporting activities and the other services sub-industries. The recreational, cultural, and sporting activities sub-industry benefited from the increase in stopover and cruise passengers' arrival, as well as the revocation of COVID-19 containment measures. Transport, storage, and communication, which increased by 5.9%, was also impacted by increased activities in the tourism sector. Looking at the wholesale and retail trade, repairs, installation of machinery and equipment, this industry grew by 5.3%. Higher output levels in the agriculture and manufacturing industries, as well as growth in imports, were the primary contributors to this increase. Other increases recorded were electricity and water supply, up by 3.9%, real estate, renting and business activities, 3.3%, finance and insurance services, 1%, and producers of government services, 0.1%. We will now turn to the goods producing industries. The growth in the goods producing industries was largely due to higher output levels in agriculture, forestry, and fishing of 17% and manufacturing 9.5%. The mining and quarrying and construction industries, however, declined by 27.6% and 3.1% respectively. The performance of the agriculture, forestry, and fishing industry resulted from growth in both sub-industries, that is, other agricultural crops, and this includes animal farming, forestry, and fishing, which grew by 17%, and traditional export crops, which went up by 16.8%. Growth in the manufacturing industry was due to higher output levels in both the food, beverages, and tobacco and other manufacturing sub-industries of 12.9% and 4.6% respectively. We will now turn to the December 2022 Consumer Price Index, CPI. Today we will release data from the December 2022 Consumer Price Index. The CPI measures changes in the general level of prices of consumer goods and services purchased by households. The reference week for the December CPI was the first full week in December. For items such as agricultural produce and petrol, data collection is done during the first and third weeks of each month. The December 2022 CPI registered a negligible decline as the index stood at 127.9 when compared to 128 for the previous month. This movement was mainly influenced by a 1% decline in the index for the heaviest weighted division, food and non-alcoholic beverages, and a 0.9% fall in the index for the transport division. The decline in the food and non-alcoholic beverages division was due mainly to a 1.1% fall in the index for the food group, which was primarily attributed to a 6.3% fall in the index for the class vegetables, tubers, plantains, cooking bananas, and pulses. The decline in the index for this class was influenced by lower prices for agricultural produce such as carrot, Irish potato, lettuce, pak chow, and tomatoes. This was due to improved supplies as the agricultural sector recovered from the adverse weather conditions experienced between late September to early November 2022. However, the index for all other classes increased, notably cereals and cereal products, meat and other parts of slaughtered land animals, and fish and seafood, each with an upward movement of 0.4% in their index. The non-alcoholic beverages group increased by 1% with the class water, soft drinks, and other non-alcoholic beverages having the strongest impact with an increase of 0.9% in its index. The index for the transport division fell by 0.9%, due mainly to a 3.7% decline in the index for the group operation of personal transport equipment as the cost for petrol continued to decrease. The inflation rate was, however, tempered by increases in the index for the divisions, restaurants and accommodation services up by 3.4%, and this was mainly impacted by increased prices for meals consumed away from home, and housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels up by 0.7%, due mainly to increases in the rates for electricity, water, and sewage. The point-to-point inflation rate was 9.4%, when the index for December 2022 was compared to that for December 2021. This was mainly attributed to increases in the index for the divisions food and non-alcoholic beverages 13.8%, restaurants and accommodation services 23.9%, and housing, water, electricity, gas, and fuels 2.8%. We will now turn to the population and housing census. Data collection for the population and housing census continues into the first quarter of 2023 to ensure maximum coverage of the Jamaican population. Data collection commenced in September 2022 on a phased basis in the western parishes. Since then, census takers have been deployed island-wide. As you're aware, the census is an extensive project that is conducted every 10 years and provides important information on the population, such as the demographic and socio-economic conditions and on housing stock. With every project, especially of this magnitude, it is important that continuous monitoring and assessment of the various activities and processes are done. This is to facilitate timely adjustment to ensure the project is completed successfully. In the initial phase of the census, there were issues with some administrative processes. However, most of these have been resolved, and we continue to address the additional concerns as they arise. We have also not been able to achieve the employment target of approximately 7,000 census takers. Approximately 7,000 persons were trained across Jamaica, and we currently have on board approximately 4,800 persons. It should be noted that several census takers have also opted out of the job for varying reasons. STATIN is therefore redoubling its efforts with targeted recruitment, training, and onboarding of census takers in specific communities that currently have shortfalls, as we seek to identify candidates that are best suited to perform the tasks required until everyone is counted. To support the continuation of the census, STATIN will also increase the census communication awareness campaign to remind persons about the importance of the census and to encourage everyone to participate. We have also strengthened the census project management team and processes. STATIN continues to work with various groups, including community associations, justices of the peace, municipal corporations, strata bodies, and faith-based communities, as well as the private sector organizations, to ensure that the general population is aware of the importance of participating in the census and that they are counted. Once data collection is completed, the information will be reviewed and analyzed, and a final count of the population will be provided along with other thematic reports. We take this opportunity to remind the public that the census is of critical importance for the development of our country. It provides much needed information to inform policy and decision making. Census takers are deployed island-wide, so if you have not yet been counted, please cooperate with the census takers. Census takers are issued a photo identification card by STATIN. Each census taker is to present his or her ID card when introducing himself or herself to you. Some of the ID cards have an expiration date of December 22, but given the continuation of the census, these cards are still valid and are supported by an extension letter if further proof is required. You may also verify that the person is a census taker by calling the toll-free number 888-ME-COUNT, which is 642-6878, or sending a message on WhatsApp 876-553-7613. In keeping with the census tagline, "You count, me count, all we count," STATIN is encouraging everyone to cooperate with the census takers as STATIN completes this important national exercise. In closing, STATIN would like to use this medium to thank the individuals who continue to work tirelessly on the population and housing census. Thanks also to the respondents who have already participated in the census, as well as our various household and business surveys that are conducted on a monthly or quarterly basis. We encourage other individuals who have not yet participated in the census to cooperate with our census takers who are currently deployed in your communities island-wide as they complete this important national exercise. The public can rest assured that the census data provided to the Institute are treated with the strictest of confidence as STATIN collects and publishes data in accordance with the provisions of the Statistics Act. We encourage everyone to visit our website at statinja.gov.jm for all tables associated with today's releases and for further information on the 2022 census. You count, me count, all we count. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Coy. We will now have the question and answer segment. Persons who are interested in asking questions, you can use the raised hand icon and you will be acknowledged. And I think there are some questions in the chat. Mr. from the Gleaner, I think it's Mr. Neville Graham. All right, Mr. Graham, is it that you are unable to speak? If so, I will read the questions. All right, just a minute. Okay, so the first question from Mr. Graham, what were the specific factors that inhibited census takers from completing the census exercise as scheduled? So that's question 1. Question 2, about when exactly in the data gathering exercise did STATIN realize that it had to extend the census? And question 3, how many workers were initially contracted? And does STATIN envision hiring more census takers or other workers to meet the new first quarter 2023 deadline? And I think our Director General will take those 3 questions.
As I said in the press brief, STATIN had some issues with administrative processes, which we have addressed. I also pointed out that we have not been able to employ the full quota of persons that we wanted. So those were the main reasons for the census being, we did not reach a target for completing the census on time. I should point out, however, that recruitment, training, and onboarding is a continuous exercise which STATIN continues to do. So we currently are also at this point doing additional training. So where there are shortfalls, there are targeted recruitment, and then we will train these persons and they will be added to our pool of census takers. As I said also in the press brief, in doing the census, we would have had continuous monitoring of the census undertaking and had taken that decision that we would extend the data collection date.
All right, there are some additional questions, Ms. Coy. So this, in a Gleaner interview weeks ago, you flagged the hurdle of gated communities. Has data gathering still been problematic in that demographic? Also, how many people have been interviewed by the census taker so far? And in other words, what's the count? The other question, what will be the extension's impact on the 2 billion budget? How many more money will be needed? So the first question is asking about the gated community, if it still remains problematic. The other, how many persons have the census takers counted thus far? And the impact on the budget.
Let me deal with the last one. The budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, as you know, would have already been passed. The biggest impact on the budget is data collection. The data collection is the payment for data collection is based on the completion of questionnaires. So because we have not completed the count, we would not have paid out what it is that we are budgeted, because the census takers are paid per questionnaire, and that is how they, so if you have not completed your ED, your count, then you would not be paid. You're also paid traveling per ED. And so the impact of data collection on the budget will not be significant. There will be other costs, but as with any budget, there are savings in other areas that we would work through. The issue of the gated communities. Gated communities have always been an issue in any STATIN survey, and we have measures in place. We are in discussions with as the interviewers reach gated communities. So I wouldn't say it at this point that is a major impact on census data collection.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Coy. Another question is, how many persons have been counted? What is the count so far? Is there a hard Q1 cutoff target for the census? And right, take those two and then I'll read the others.
Okay, just to point out that STATIN does not preempt the results of census, and therefore preliminary data is not usually disseminated. It's when the data collection is finalized, then it will be further analyzed and a final count will be provided. So in none of its surveys, it's not the practice for STATIN to provide preliminary counts on any survey or census that it does.
All right, and the question about whether or not there's a hard Q1 cutoff for the census.
No, there's not a hard Q1. We are aiming and we are putting things in place. We have put things in place to ensure that we will complete in our aim is Q1, but we do not have a hard cutoff date for the census data collection.
Okay. Are there any additional questions? All right, so there's a question. Do you anticipate improvement in production for mining and quarrying with Jamalco resuming operations? And I think that's for Mrs. Jackson.
Okay, thanks for that question. So Jamaica resumed operations in July of 2022, and we did see some increase in the production starting up. So yes, there is some improvement in production.
Thanks very much, Mrs. Jackson. All right, so there are two additional questions, and I think this one is for you, Ms. Coy. The first one is definitive information reaching the gleaner is that there was a breakdown in the supervision of field officers and glitches in using the software out in the field. What is your comments on this? And what are the options available to remedy the apparent breakdown?
So thanks for that questions. The census deals with thousands of employees. And so each case, we would have to deal with each case on its own merit. So if you would find there are issues and there's a structure in place at STATIN to deal with issues, there's a census taker, there's the supervisors, and the supervisors deal with the area manager and their regional coordinators. So there is a structure in place at STATIN to assist if there are issues, if there are supervisors. Now you're dealing with software, and there are a number of persons who might not be familiar. Persons underwent an 8-week training, and so there could be issues of persons using the tablets given the software, but we have in place structures, processes to assist persons when they have issues with the tablet. As with any technology, new technology for persons, you will have some teething pains.
All right, thanks, Ms. Coy. Another question coming from Carlos. Is there an update on the revised system of national accounts?
Yes, we intend to come out with a revised system of national accounts this year. I cannot tell you a month right now, so we're working on that right now. It is a priority for us in the division to do the conversion to the new system of national accounts.
All right, thanks, Ms. Jackson.
Can
Another.
I just add to that?
Sure, Ms.
It's part of the revision of the national accounts for Jamaica. So it will include a number of updates, including a revision to the base year and incorporating the 2017 household expenditure survey. So it is a comprehensive revision that will be done to the Jamaican system of national accounts.
All right, thanks, Ms. Coy. There is a question from Douglas McIntosh. What was the December 2021 inflation rate, and how does the December 2021 CPI compare with the December 2022 outturn? And I think that question is for Mrs. Chambers.
All right, pleasant morning. Thank you very much for that question. As it relates to the inflation for December, it was 0.0. It was a negligible decline for December compared to November 2022. As it relates to, just to point out that the point-to-point inflation for December 2002 compared to December 2021 is 9.4%. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Mrs. Chambers. Are there any other questions? Okay, there are no more questions. I take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining STATIN's quarterly press briefing for January. We encourage persons to cooperate with our census takers when they visit your household, and also to visit our website for today's release data and also for additional census information. I think there is one more question from J. Scott. What was core inflation for December 2022?
Question noted, thank you. Just to point out that STATIN doesn't calculate the core inflation, so I would not be able to speak to the core inflation, but I can give a little insight in December. The negligible decline was mainly attributable to fall in the index for food and non-alcoholic beverages of 1.0%, and this was attributable to lower prices for agricultural produce on the market. And for the transport division, there was a fall of 0.9%, due to the trending decline in petrol prices. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Mrs. Chambers. I'll ask once more if there are any additional questions before we end today's press briefing. All right. There is another question from Hillary Davis. Will a press release for December CPI be uploaded on the website? Yes, we will upload today's press release for the December CPI, and we will disseminate to the media as well. So you, following this press briefing, you will be able to access the press release and the other key indicators on our website as usual. All right, thanks again, everyone, once more, and I reiterate the need for persons to visit our website, or if there are any questions, to call our library or to send us an email at info@statinja.gov.jm. Do have a productive day. Thanks.
Safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you. Soon, a census worker will be coming to you. Verify their identity by visiting our website and be accurate and honest in your responses. Census data is used by policymakers, community groups, businesses, and individuals to make decisions that better serve you. And not to worry, your information is safe. We combine data encryption network security equipment to prevent unauthorized access to census information. You count, me count, all we count. So cooperate when the census takers come to you.